Wish you a Merry Christmas. Wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. In this video, I want to talk about how I manifested my specific person. Now, the reason I'm making this video is not to talk about or brag about my own manifestations on how I did it, but also I want to talk about how you can do it too. And I also wanted to stress on the importance of mental diet, how you should keep affirming to yourself once you have that specific person into your life. So, the relationship goes on smoothly and you don't lose them. Otherwise, what keeps happening is you keep manifesting these like hot and cold behavior and the relationship keeps going on and off, because that's what happened with me and her too. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. So if you are interested in learning about this, stay tuned and let's get started. Alright, welcome back to this video. My name is Rav and I help people with their manifestations. I'm also a life coach, especially when it comes to like shifting your mindset to get you to this optimal level of having this great self-concept where you feel like you're already worthy of deserving of your goals. That's what I can help you to achieve. And once you have this kind of like mindset, this great self-concept, it's gonna be easy for you to manifest anything, whether it be like a specific person or wealth or any kinds of stuff that you might desire in your life. Just to give you a heads up, this is not a current manifestation. This actually happened a few years ago. It happened around this Christmas time. I guess you can see that, Christmas background on my TV screen. But it happened around the same time this year. That's why the memories are coming really, really fresh. And recently I got into reading about different concepts by Neville Goddard. And that's why everything's starting to click for me, because back then, I wasn't actually reading any of Neville's philosophy, but what I was doing was I was reading books by James Allen. In one of his books, I came across this concept called telepathy. And it might sound freaky to some people, but basically what I was doing was I was speaking to my specific person inside of my own mind in this like meditative state, like almost like in a living in the end state. And I was talking to them in a very loving way, and I would also like hear them speaking back to me like really kindly. And I kept doing this for a couple of months because this was my first experience with personal development. And most of the things that I would affirm or I would imagine them saying to me or I would say to them, it basically came true. Let me start with the climax of the story. So we're basically hanging out in this pub that I wanted to visit for last couple of months. My favorite music is playing on the background by Alice in Chains. I remember this moment very, very specifically. She was basically gently resting on my arms. We were having a couple of beers. I used to drink back then. I had long hair back then. I was a completely different person, to be honest. One of the guys who had shorter hair, he came over to me and he started like complimenting me on my long hair, and I'm looking at my SP, she's like smiling at me, she's like sort of flirting at me, making fun of me that, like this guy is coming to approach or whatnot. But this guy is like really, really like admiring my long hair, all that kind of stuff. But this kind of stuff kept on happening to me around this time because my self-concept or like who I thought I was so up to the key. I would be getting compliments basically left and right. As soon as that guy left, my SP looks at me and she says to me, I think he likes you. So I looked back at her and I told her, you're right, everybody fucking likes me, because that was who I was at the time. This happened because I was affirming to myself every single day, because I had just read my first ever personal development book by James Allen, which was called As a Man Thinketh. Then I got into all these like other weird mystical stuffs like telepathy and all this kind of stuff. And I was basically feeling curious as a child and I wanted to try it all out. Well, I'm still on that kind of mindset. Whenever I discover new concepts, I'm really eager to try all the time. That's just the kind of person I am, I guess. At that moment, something clicked in me because I remembered all of these affirmations, all these things that I was thinking of basically had come true, because I would pass by this pub that we were hanging out every single night before I went to work, and I used to work on night shifts. I would just think about me and my SP being together, and this was before we had any sort of connection. Now let me talk about how we actually got to this point. She was basically a friend of my roommates. She would come to my place every now and then. I would see her. I had this attraction towards her already, but we never had any communication because I used to be very shy back then too. Whenever I would see her, it would always end in like hi and then bye. That was it. No conversation whatsoever. So after I started reading all these books by James Allen, I started becoming aware of my own thoughts and how my thoughts could create my own reality. So I started going out to practice, right? So at that time, I was very interested in playing in a band. So I kind of put together a band, and we basically had our first show together. On the first show, my SP happened to come. I had no idea that she was gonna be there, but she was there at the show. But later that night, I think I reached home around like 4 a.m. in the morning, like really, you know, after partying hard. And I see someone passed out in my bathroom, almost passed out, and it was my SP. And I think she was throwing up when I got there, so I basically cleansed her up, I washed her face, and you know, I took her down to the place she was supposed to sleep. After that incident happened, like that, my SP had already made a huge mark on my mind, and I couldn't stop thinking about her. And every time I would think about that incident, it would just like make me smile and laugh sometimes, you know. And I decided to get her number from my roommate, and well, I didn't have this courage to just like talk to her in a flirting or romantic way, but I made an excuse to learn more about her university, and I wanted to ask her. I just made an excuse to basically ask her more about her university and how I could get into that, to be honest, you know, which I had no interest on it whatsoever. We started talking through text, but she would like, you know, respond to me after like maybe 3 or 4 days, like she didn't care. During this whole time I was working in a motel in a night shift, like I think I mentioned this before too, but I was basically, you know, reading all these books, and I was always like practicing telepathy inside of my own mind, and I would just talk to her inside of my own mind in a very loving way, as if she desired me and all that kind of stuff, right? And that's what Neville talks about in his mental diet and stuff too. You have to basically assume that the person already wants you when you're having this mental conversation, because if you're coming from this state of you not having them not desiring you, you're constantly gonna worry about like, what if they didn't like me? What if they didn't think that I was worthy of whatever? What if they didn't think that I was attractive? That's just like going in a bad mental state, and that's gonna hamper, you know, I'm gonna talk about that here in a second too. When Valentine's Day came, I basically decided to send her a text message, and I told her how I liked her, but me being a dumbass at the time, I didn't even have this courage to ask her out. I just basically told her, okay, this is how I feel about you, that's it. Done. And she said thank you, I wasn't expecting that from you, and all that kind of stuff. She basically didn't give me anything, but at the same time I had a day off, I think, that day, and I just stayed home, and I was basically like visualizing getting a text back and thinking that, you know, she would be more receptive about the situation. I'm pretty sure it was the same day. She sent me a text back saying, asking me out for a date. She asked me, saying something like, how about we go out on a dinner next week, you know? And I was like, fuck yeah, you know? I was very excited. I was excited like a little kid that day. That happened, and we started going out, and all of my manifestations, everything started to like come true, like slowly by slowly. Her attraction towards me started to grow and grow and grow, and basically we got to this point where she would start initiating the conversation first, whereas before it was always me trying to like ask her out, trying to, you know, take her out on a date and trying to give her compliments, all these kind of stuff. But later she started to initiate too. After a while, everything started to like kind of plateau, and I began to fall off the wagon, and I wasn't doing any affirming or anything like that anymore. I didn't even like think of telepathy anymore, because I already feel like I got my manifestation. No, that's it. All of a sudden, I started to feel bored with my own life, and I started to place too much importance or all my focus on this relationship. And it wasn't coming from this like place of where I would be trying to make this relationship grow, but I was starting to feel a little insecure, as if like I had nothing to offer in this relationship, and it felt like I was always trying to get something out of this relationship rather than contribute. Instead of having these like mental conversation, how I would think of she was talking to me in a more loving way, now I started to think about how she didn't feel like I was worthy of the relationship. And basically that was my old self-talk coming into place, because I used to have these kind of old self-talk in other relationships prior to that all the time, and that would always manifest. So basically that started to reflect back into my 3D reality, and she started saying all these things. And one point I remember, we were just hanging out, and all of a sudden she started saying things like how she was attracted to a professor in a class and other guys in the classroom out of nowhere. And basically I was thinking of that like a couple of weeks prior to that, and that basically was making me feel insecure, and she basically parroted the same stuff back to me. It was almost like this mirror giving me a slap on my face. I just basically started going down this rabbit hole of feeling unworthy and unworthy and unworthy. But basically, even if she started to ask me out, I basically started to say no, because she started saying all these hurtful things to me where it would make me jealous and insecure all the time. That kept showing up in my reality so much that I basically gave up on her. Now, I know I get emotional when I talk about this, to be honest, but now I think about it, we have nothing in common, you know. I can't see myself and her being in that relationship anymore. But at the time, I super was attracted to her. I liked her a lot, you know, and I actually thought that we would have a long-term relationship, but it withered away in a matter of probably like 8-9 months. Like, we were like pretty much hot and cold all the way then, and after that it was pretty much over, and I was the one who called it off, to be honest, you know, because I didn't think that I was able to keep her in my life. So that's why I wanted to really focus on mental diets, and why it's really important to affirm every fucking single day if you really want to manifest your specific person, and also keep them in your life even after they're back into your life. And it could be even if you're in a married sort of relationship where the commitment is even deeper. Because if you start having all these like negative thoughts about your relationship and how the other person is cheating on you, or they don't want you, they don't desire you anymore, that's obviously gonna reflect you back into your reality, unless you decide to change them. And reality is malleable. You basically see that happening every single day, and that's what manifestation is all about. That's what law of attraction is all about. I talked about this in my other video where I used to have social anxiety, and people used to treat me like shit all the time. Even when I used to go out in grocery store, like, people used to treat me rudely and all that kind of stuff. Now, when I already have a good self-concept and I go to a store, I expect people to greet me with a smile. Affirmations really work for me, and it might work for you too. And you don't always have to believe in your affirmations. You basically just say it until it gets to a point where it actually starts reflecting into your reality, and then you start believing it's true, right? I didn't believe that I was actually worthy of having my specific person before I had it, but I didn't have all these like opposing negative talks about how I was unworthy of having her. That's how it actually happened. And you know, it was a step-by-step process. It was like a slow incline process. And by the time my affirmations and my visualizations were up to the point, I was already together with my specific person, and we had this like really loving, caring relationship. So basically, if you want to manifest a specific person, it's really important that you affirm truly every single day. You want to affirm in a way what you would expect out of them. And it's got to be very specific to your manifestation, especially if it's with your SP. You got to have affirmations such as, my SP is always caring about me, my SP wants me, my SP is always happy to receive my messages, and my SP is always reaching out to me. And also, if you add words that are related to feelings, and I got this idea from Plutos Gate, that's another YouTube channel that I highly recommend, is that if you use words such as, why do I feel so relaxed? That really works for me. If I try to like manifest something, relaxation, I think that's my feel word. That's like my main keyword that I like to use for all of my affirmations. So if I started using affirmations in the form of, why do I feel so relaxed that my specific person is madly in love with me, that's gonna put me in a state of relaxation. And also another one that you can use is use phrases such as, isn't it wonderful my specific person is always thinking about me, and all that kind of stuff, right? So the more you repeat, the more easier it's gonna be for you to manifest your specific person. And I've been trying this out, and it's been working really good on my favor right now. I could be talking about my current manifestation when it comes to my specific person, but I thought I didn't feel comfortable about making a video on that. I felt it would be more comfortable about thinking of something that happened in the past where, you know, it's already done, but at the same time, I did it deliberately. You know, it's not something that I just feel like, oh shit, that was like a manifestation. I think that's happened because of all these like concepts such as law of assumption. No, it happened because of everybody's using law of assumptions basically. You know, everybody's already practicing persistent assumptions to some level, but people are doing it unconsciously, and some people are just doing it negatively. That's why it's hurting them, right? But I was doing it deliberately in a form of telepathy, and that's how my assumptions came true into my life. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you need some additional help on getting over your mental blocks to help you manifest your specific person or any kinds of manifestation faster towards you, you can feel free to apply for one-on-one coaching, and the link is in the description box below. With that being said, guys, I want to wish you all the very best, and do feel free to leave comments in the comment sections down below if it resonates with you, or if you have any ideas in your head, because I would love to hear your stories too. Now that being said, I want to wish you all the very best. Goodbye and namaste.